Hey guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 91st episode of my series where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it had, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. Even though it feels like we just did the last group of 90s classics, we're once again looping around so I can cover more gems that I missed from this decade. The last set I did from this era mostly contained material that I felt heavily impacted or changed the genre, and they're all incredibly enjoyable, well-rounded hip-hop projects that I feel like any aspiring head should listen to. While this current selection also meets all of that criteria, it has the addendum of being a set of my personal favorites, especially these first couple LPs. I'll obviously get to the second classic I'm referring to next time, but the former of the two that we're discussing today is Missy Elliott's disruptive seminal debut Supa Dupa Fly. She really could do no wrong when it came to any of her first four albums, but as much as I love LPs like The Real World, Missy's So Addictive, and Under Construction, it's hard to continue to raise the bar when you set it so high with your initial release. It's very rare for a first endeavor to have so much promise, diversity, and creativity, and she pretty much came out as a fully formed artist ready to take the world by storm. That isn't to say she didn't progress and evolve, but she hardly needed to because her debut virtually already had everything you could ever want from a late 90s hip hop R&B blend. I think a big reason Missy has been such an important figure in popular music is she's always been completely unapologetically herself, and not in a way where she's trying to be weird or using it as an excuse to be a shitty person who doesn't need to grow. She was being herself through her rap style, content, as well as how she presented herself in music videos. There's a very good reason I've heard people like Lil Wayne name her as the single most influential rapper to them growing up. She helps show you don't have to have a traditional supermodel body or be a sex icon to feel sexy and talk about steamy subjects. Not that she cared much about people thinking she's attractive, you can tell when you look at some of her old outfits, she was just using her artistic license to express herself. She may not be one of the most gifted vocalists alive, but her voice always sounds amazing whether she's laying down a verse or singing a ballad. It's similar with her skills on the mic, because while she may not be on Jean Grey or Psalm 1 level of dense lyricism, her delivery matches her style perfectly, and she'll find creative, interesting flows to approach Timbaland's production with. Even her ad-libs are innovative, like on the track They Don't Wanna Fuck With Me, where following Timbaland's dope verse, Missy comes in ad-libbing this ch after every line that always gets stuck in my head because it's so catchy. Speaking of Timbaland, you really can't separate him from this album or Missy in general. He not only worked on every single album she's ever released, but he completely produced the first two single-handedly, which of course includes Supa Dupa Fly here. He would go on to work with a myriad of stars the more his career snowballed from both inside and outside of hip-hop. Just a few of these included Jay-Z, The Game, 50 Cent, Janet Jackson, TLC, Nas, Snoop Dogg, Ludacris, Redman, and surprisingly, even Bjork. Which I have to admit was a bit of a shock to me, even with me knowing Timbo has collaborated with artists from all kinds of genres. However, his career didn't really get a jump start until the late 90s, when Virginia went from a place without much of a hip hop scene at all to a bubbling hotspot. This was largely thanks to the Neptunes, who started really turning heads through their work with fellow Virginia Beach act Clips. But even a couple years before they would debut with Lord Willin', Missy and Timbaland would come through with a sound unlike anything the genre had ever been exposed to. The drum programming can be slightly off-kilter or have the snare in a place you wouldn't expect, and it's sort of become a trademark of Timbaland's that gives his production a clear, unique feel. They're never minimal or underdeveloped, his bass lines are always crunchy and fat, and his sample selection here is stellar. Missy is able to seamlessly flip between more upbeat, energetic, and fast-paced rap songs and slower, more immersive and atmospheric R&B ballads. For example, her duet with fellow frequent Timbaland collaborator Genuine is absolutely gorgeous, and the vocoder-like sound in the background mixed with the slower, lumbering beat kind of makes this track feel like a predecessor to the beat Timbaland would do for Genuine's Pony a few years down the line. He isn't the only feature we get on here though. While he normally isn't listed as one, Timbo himself has multiple rap verses on this thing, or he'll be providing character-filled ad-libs. But besides those two, there's also appearances by Lil Kim, 702, Aaliyah, Magoo, Space, Nicole, Busta Rhymes, and Debrat. The amount of memorable, catchy moments that have stood the test of time on here are impossible to count, and I think this might be the epitome of an album that proves you don't need to do lyrical gymnastics 24/7 to be a dope rapper. She exudes confidence, and none of it comes from a superficial or insecure place. Every time she puts out a project, it's as if Missy and Timbo are letting us step into this magical world they operate within. While I love the intro and outro done by Busta and the killer sample that accompanies it, I decided to leave them out of my favorites and honorable mentions for the sake of space. Speaking of which, for honorable mentions, I want to recommend They Don't Wanna Fuck With Me, Pass the Blunt, Friendly Skies, Best Friend, Izzy Izzy Ah, Why You Hurt Me, I'm Talking, and Getaway. My three favorite songs on here overall would definitely have to be Sock It To Me, The Rain, or Supa Dupa Fly, and Beat Me 911. Thank you for watching my 91st video. We're going to continue this trend of personal favorites of mine that dropped in the 90s, so check in next time to see what that one is, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite songs off of Missy's seminal debut are. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? Alright.